Joseph is one of the most misunderstood heroes in the Bible. We remember the coat, the dreams, and the drama. But Joseph's life is really about how God turns betrayal into blessing and how forgiveness can heal a whole family. 1. The background. Joseph shows up in Genesis 37 as the 17-year-old son of Jacob, also called Israel. He's the firstborn of Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife, which already creates tension in a family with 4 mothers and 12 sons. Jacob gives Joseph a special tunic, often called a coat of many colors. In the ancient world, this kind of long, decorated garment signaled status. While his brothers worked the fields, that coat said, "This son is set apart." Joseph also has dreams. In one, bundles of grain bow to his bundle. In another, the sun, moon, and 11 stars bow to him. In Joseph's culture, dreams were taken seriously, often seen as messages from God. But sharing those dreams with jealous brothers? Not wise. This family isn't simply dysfunctional. It's the family through whom God promised to bless the world, Genesis 12. The stakes are spiritual and global. God is shaping a people, and Joseph's story is a key step. 2. The conflict. Key events. The jealousy boils over. When Jacob sends Joseph to check on his brothers, they strip the coat, throw him into a pit, and sell him to traders heading to Egypt, Genesis 37. They fake his death and break their father's heart. Joseph lands in the house of Potiphar, an Egyptian official. The Bible repeats a key line. The Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39, verse 2. He rises to manage the entire household. He's faithful, competent, and trusted. Then comes a test. Potiphar's wife tries to seduce him. Joseph refuses. How could I do this great evil and sin against God? He runs, she lies, and he's thrown into prison. Doing the right thing costs him. In the prison, God is still with him. Joseph becomes the manager there too. He interprets dreams for 2 of Pharaoh's officers. One is restored, one is executed, just as Joseph said, Genesis 40. But the restored official forgets Joseph for 2 long years. Then Pharaoh dreams. 7 fat cows devoured by 7 skinny cows. 7 healthy heads of grain swallowed by 7 thin ones. No one can explain it until the official remembers the Hebrew prisoner. Joseph stands before Pharaoh and says the quiet part out loud. I cannot, but God will give Pharaoh the answer. Genesis 41. He interprets the dreams. 7 years of abundance, then 7 years of famine. He proposes a plan. Store grain now to survive later. Pharaoh sees wisdom and spirit in Joseph and promotes him to second in command over all Egypt. Overnight, the forgotten prisoner becomes a leader with authority, a signet ring, and a new name. He organizes a national food program that will save nations. The famine arrives, and it does not stop at Egypt's border. Back in Canaan, Jacob sends his sons to buy grain in Egypt. They bow before the governor, Joseph, without recognizing him. Joseph remembers his dreams. He doesn't lash out. He tests their hearts. He accuses them of being spies, holds Simeon, and demands they bring Benjamin, the youngest, next time. Joseph wants to see if the brothers who once betrayed him will now protect the son their father loves. They return with Benjamin. When Joseph threatens to keep Benjamin as a slave, Judah steps forward. He offers himself in Benjamin's place, pleading for their father's life and grief, Genesis 44. It's the moment Joseph's been waiting for. The brothers have changed. Joseph breaks. He sends everyone else out, weeps loudly, and reveals himself. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? He forgives them and reframes the entire story in one sentence. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to save many lives. Genesis 50:20. The family moves to Egypt, settling in Goshen, a region good for shepherds, an occupation Egyptians despised. Ironically, what Egyptians look down on is exactly what preserves Israel as a distinct people. God is working even in the fine print of geography and culture. Joseph serves faithfully for decades, sees his grandchildren, and dies with a promise on his lips. God will bring you out of this land. He asks that his bones be carried back to the promised land. Even in Egypt, his heart points to home. 3. The meaning in its time. In the world of Genesis, Joseph's story is a survival story, a family story, and a God story. It explains how Israel ended up in Egypt and sets the stage for the Exodus. But it also answers a deeper question. What is God doing when life looks unfair? Joseph never says, "I made it happen." He says, "God was with me." In a culture that feared unpredictable gods and fickle kings, Genesis shows a God who is steady, wise, and present, even in pits and prisons. It also redefines power. Joseph's rise isn't about revenge, it's about service. He uses authority to feed others. In a world where rulers took, Joseph stores to give. That's true leadership in God's eyes. 4. The meaning for today. We live with plans that break, people who fail us, and seasons we don't understand. Joseph's life doesn't offer a neat formula, but it does offer clarity. God can weave human evil into a larger good without excusing the evil. It also shows that character matters when no one is watching. Joseph's integrity in Potiphar's house and his faithfulness in prison prepared him for influence. Private obedience became public blessing. And forgiveness? It's more than saying, "It's fine." Joseph tells the truth about the harm. He tests for change. Then he chooses mercy. Forgiveness doesn't erase wisdom, but it opens the door for healing and a future. Christians also see in Joseph a preview of Jesus. Joseph was betrayed for silver, falsely accused, humbled, then lifted up to save lives. Jesus was betrayed for silver, falsely accused, crucified, and raised to give life to the world. Joseph fed the hungry with stored grain. Jesus feeds the world with himself, the bread of life. So what does this look like in real life? When you face setbacks, ask, how can I be faithful right here? Faithfulness now can prepare you for impact later. When you have power, ask, who can I serve? Real authority is stewardship, not status. When you're hurt, ask, is there a path to truth and mercy? Forgiveness is not denial. It's choosing God's future over your anger. 5. Quick takeaways. God's presence is the constant. The phrase, "the Lord was with Joseph," runs like a thread through the whole story. Your location may change, pit, house, prison, palace, but his presence doesn't. Dreams are gifts, not entitlements. Joseph had a calling, but he had to grow into it. Timing is God's, and character is your part. Pain can have purpose. God doesn't approve of evil, but he isn't defeated by it. He can use it to save, shape, and send. Family wounds aren't the final word. Joseph's home was complicated. God still brought healing and a future through courage and forgiveness. The big lesson, in one sentence: who was Joseph? A dreamer betrayed, a servant tested, a leader raised up, and a forgiver who shows how God can turn human harm into hope for many. So when you hear Joseph, think more than a colorful coat. Think of a faithful life in the hands of a faithful God. Think of a man who chose character over comfort, service over status, and mercy over revenge. And think of the God who is with you, in the pit, in the waiting, and in the breakthrough. Subscribe for more videos like this one.